What's up, everybody? Monster Master Godzilla here, and I'm here to continue the Evil Dead-A-Thon. We're now up to Evil Dead 2. Now, this one is the best of the Evil Dead franchise. This one's a fan favorite in horror genre. This one's a mixture of horror, action, and comedy, which, and it's very Sam Raimi-like. This one definitely is the best, which I really dig this one. It's even better than part 1. So, remember how Ash got attacked at the end of part 1? They threw you off thinking that he was killed off, only to find out he survives. Yeah, I'm so glad they made him survive, because in a lot of horror movies, I hate the fact that they made the survivor go through all that bullshit to survive only to get killed at the end. Which, it feels like a waste. So, Ash ends up surviving the events of part 1. But then, in the beginning, they kind of retconned the rest of Ash's friends and his sister out of it, and it's just him and Linda. So it's just retconned into just being him and his girlfriend Linda for a romantic vacation. So then Ash turns out to survive the events of part 1. So this time you find out it's a mixture of horror, action, and comedy. Like, this time you have more funny moments than the first one. And then when Ash ends up being thrown away by the evil force in the air, he was spun around, and then when he landed on a tree, he ends up being face palmed to the mud and started gurgling on that, and then after he went back to the cabin, he ends up meeting some strangers that don't trust him right away. And for the first time, Ash ends up getting possessed. So this is the first and only time that Ash ends up getting possessed and became a Deadite himself. So, and then one time, Ash ends up getting beaten up by his own hand. And that was so hilarious, where he gets beaten up by his own hand. Amazing effects that they did with that one. So then after he got knocked out by his hand, Ash ended up regaining consciousness and then grabbed the chainsaw, like from the first movie, and he used that chainsaw, forcing himself into cutting off his own hand. And so the hand ends up escaping. Which that famous scene ends up having a famous line in Army of Darkness, which I will explain later. So then, after Ash cut off his own hand, he ended up replacing the hand with the chainsaw. So that's where he finally got the chainsaw hand. That's where he ends up becoming the Ash we know and love. In the first Evil Dead, Ash was just a nobody, just another face trying to survive. That's why he wasn't cracking jokes or one-liners. This one, Ash is actually cracking jokes and one-liners, and he's now a comic relief. He's being awesome and stuff. And this time we got to see him having to cut off his own hand and replace it with a chainsaw. And he ends up having a famous catchphrase in this one, and it's called groovy. So Ash ends up surviving that. And though he got possessed he ends up getting possessed and being a Deadite a couple of scenes. So then he was possessed until he finds his girlfriend Linda's locket. And so that's when Ash ends up having a breakdown as a Deadite, and as a Deadite ends up having a breakdown, and then Ash ends up fighting it, and he got out of possession, and that's why we never saw him get possessed again after that. So then there's also more funny moments where everybody starts laughing hilariously, like the mounted deer head started laughing, and old Ash started getting crazy too. That's pretty much how all of this was beginning to get really funny. So it's definitely one that you should watch if you want to have your friends over for like a bad movie night or so. So then I will have to say, when old Ash got, and then when they actually got the when they actually got, then when after facing the Deadites in the end, Ash ends up getting sucked into a vortex. And the worst part about the getting sucked into a vortex, it got him sent back in time, in medieval times, during the King Arthur period. So then, after he took on one of those flying creatures, it turns out that Ash was part of a prophecy. So then Ash realized he's trapped in time, and his last time he was like saying, "No, no, no." So yeah, he's trapped in time, back in medieval times, and where all the soldiers all yelling, "Hail, hail, hail!" But Ash was kind of reluctant on that one because realizing he's trapped in time. And that leads up to Army of Darkness. Now, would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. This one's better than part one. It's a great watch. Definitely one of the best movies to get into if you want to get into the horror genre. This one's definitely a fan favorite in the Evil Dead franchise. So you should go give it a watch. It's definitely fun and enjoyable. Even better than part one. And now, that's all I have to say, folks. And as always, stay awesome, my Monster Masters, and I'll catch you later. And stay tuned for our review of Army of Darkness. And that's all I have to say, folks. And stay awesome, my Monster Masters. Goodbye.